Hello and welcome to the Bundesliga Show, the Monday evening edition. As you can see, it's me, Mark, joined by the fantastic Peter, and I think he's changed location as well. So, how's freedom treating you, Peter?
Well, Germany is the land of the free as well. It is also my good. I am, of course, here on the wrong side of the pond, as I am often in transit. As you know, I'm coming in from a different location every week. But the greatest antidote to being on the wrong side of the pod is talking Bundesliga with my dear friend Mark. So thank you very much for making time for me this evening. And you know this is the highlight of my day.
No problem at all. No problem at all. I thought you'd be a little bit tired this week, obviously, after making the trip over just yesterday, I think, didn't you? So, yeah, it's great that you could join us as well today. We're all happy to see you on the show. Don't forget as well, guys, that we're also in partnership with Covert Football Trips as well. Rich's fantastic company over in Norwich. Don't forget to check them out as well. Get your travel, your Christmas presents booked with Rich and head over to Germany, Italy, Georgia, or wherever the hell he's sending people these days. So yeah, get yourself over to Rich and his brilliant tours over there. Don't forget as well, we're also sponsored by Bully News as well, the English speaking website with Runa. So don't forget to check them out too. So yeah, Peter, I mean, I don't know how much you've been able to catch this weekend, obviously with the travel, but it's been a hell of a weekend, hasn't it? With the penultimate weekend of the 2025, isn't it? Now we've only got one more weekend left of this year in the Bundesliga, which is just crazy to think, isn't it? It's just time just flies these days. I don't know if you feel the same, and you guys watching at home, but just feels as though time goes so fast these days. Obviously, 14 match days through the 25-26 season now, and it is still hotting up at both ends of the table. So we're going to discuss it in detail, specifically 4 games today. So I thought, why not start with the finale, really, the finale of the weekend, a game which I'm pretty sure our co-host Rory will be pretty happy about, truth be told. It was that 4-0 win for VfB Stuttgart against beleaguered Bremen, which maybe we can say under Horst Steffen these days. I mean, what can you say about this? It was a wayside, wasn't it? I mean, I just felt as though they were brilliant in the game. They started off, they'd already created a few chances. They'd had a goal disallowed via Dennis Under by the time El Canous headed home. I mean, he's not known to be a player that scores a lot of headers, but obviously he got the header in that match to go 1-0 ahead. And then it was that screamer from Jamie Leverling, wasn't it? What a goal that was. An absolute screamer. Smashed it from 30 meters out, swerving, curling everywhere, and poor Backhouse in the Bremen goal just didn't know where to look, basically, and it ended up in the back of the old onion bag, didn't it, for 2-0 at half-time. And then it got even worse. Your fan favourite, Koulibaly, ended up getting sent off after quite well spotted, really, by the referee. It looked as though initially the shot had been got off, but was a poor challenge on the yellow card from Koulibaly. He got his second booking and his marching orders on the hour. And it got even worse for the hosts. Dennis Under with yet another goal. He's just absolutely stormed back to form this year, hasn't he? The last 5-6 weeks. He got yet another goal. And then in the end, Chris Führich with a rare goal these days, really, with his second of the season, finishing off what was a horrendous afternoon, really, from Bremen. But for me, one of the best performances we've seen of the season from Stuttgart. I just thought they were really at it in this game. They were really good. The likes of, Undav is just coming so good at the moment. He makes a massive difference to them leading that line. I just feel as though since he's come back into the side, we've seen the best of VfB Stuttgart. Other notable mentions as well to the likes of Wagnerman. Obviously, Leverling deserves credit as well. Elkanus, it was good to see him get a goal. And even Nicolas Nate as well, who is a man who had been kind of maligned very much by the Stuttgart fan base. But for the first time in seemingly 2 years since he's been at the club, he's really started to come into form and look like a player that's worthy of a place in that starting 11. So, Peter, what did you make of this game? And was it more a case of Stuttgart being really good or Bremen being particularly bad in this one?
Definitely the latter. I believe this was one of the few tips that I got spot on this weekend. And the reason for that is that I still contend that Bremen are a very bad team. They are a poor team all throughout this Horst Stefan 4-2-3-1. And it was another poor match from Schmid. Again, we don't have a natural striker. I don't even believe Boniface made the matchday squad in this instance. So we have KK Top. Well, KK Top didn't start. It was once again Marco Brühl starting, and we had another disappointing performance from Samuel Mbangula. This, of course, was for me, this was an easy tip with Undav being in the form that he is in. I think that it would much behoove us to go ahead and statistically credit Undav for what he has done. That is now, let's see, he didn't score last week in against Bayern. But prior to that, there was a brace against Augsburg, a hat trick against Dortmund, another goal against Hamburg. There was the goal in the Pokal, and then was there one in the Europa League? No, but there were two assists against Go Ahead Den Venture and one assist against Maccabi Tel Aviv. So this one was a fairly straightforward one insofar as I'm concerned. I'm glad that I got at least one tip right this weekend. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned Nicolas Nardi. We actually spoke about him last week. We spoke about how Nardi was one of the bright spots that Stuttgart had in this absolutely devastating 0-5 defeat to Bayern München. And I found several positives in Stuttgart's performance. I think there were many instances in that Bayern loss in which they combined out of the back and cycled out of the back in a very, very effective fashion. And thus, for me, it was no surprise that they were able to take care of Maccabi Tel Aviv quite readily midweek and easily dismantle Bremen, who are not a good side. The more that I think about it, I believe that Bremen should have probably hired Urs Fischer this offseason since he was on the market. I think he would have made a much better coach for this team. I will point out that at the beginning of the season, with Bremen in something of a personnel crisis, I tipped them to finish dead last in the Bundesliga. And we thought that after the strong finish to the transfer window, in which they did acquire Sugawara, in which they also acquired Schmidt, in which, it seemed like
Boniface as well, yeah.
Boniface, of course. We thought that they would, of course, they were no longer a relegation candidate. I consider them a relegation candidate now. Koulibaly has been one of the few bright spots for this team, and it was terrible to see him get sent off. The only real positive thing I can say about Bremen is that Schmid occasionally plays well, and Jens, all the world a stage, continues to score, even though he has no earthly business doing so. So that would be my quick take on that particular match. And I hope, Mark, that as we are together, we discuss all the matches, because that's of course what we like to do when we get together. And I assure you, I had a chance to scout and read plenty. When you're on a transatlantic flight that has 5 legs, there's more than enough time to read. There may not be enough time to write, but there's plenty of time to read.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, checking in DM as well. Hey, fellas, servus DM as well. Checking in there. Good to hear from
Vladimir Taylor is back. Our Vladimir Taylor Gladbach fan has returned. We were just talking about you just the other week when we were.
That is true. That is true.
Count Sandro Wagner and his. Exactly. So we were wondering where you were.
Exactly. Yeah. Good to see you back again. Good to see you back again. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we're at least Horst Stefan right now, because it did seem they were on a better path, didn't it? But they've really hit a bad run again now. I mean, obviously losing the Nord Derby last week against, arch rivals Hamburg wasn't exactly ideal, but this is not the kind of performance you want to back that up with at all, is it? Losing 4-0 at home. against a team that they previously had a good record against as well. I remember one time when you and I, Peter, we were in Ulm, I think, when this fixture was on. And that was the season when Stuttgart finished Vizemeister as well. But they were beaten at Bremen. And I remember both of us were quite shocked about that result. But obviously they weren't quite able to back that up this weekend.
As I recall, your father was the one who you gave the tip to your father.
Oh, you're right. It was 2 years later. 2 years later, and it came in. There you go. Yeah, if you're watching this, Dad. But yeah, yeah. But definitely, it was a different kind of fixtures to what I've seen in recent times between these two teams. As you say, Stuttgart are on a good path again now. They're looking quite good. They're much better in the Europa League after a good run in that as well. They're back up to 6th in the Bundesliga as well, just 2 points behind Champions League places as well. So the season's going pretty fine in Baden-Württemberg for the team. So yeah, let's move on to the next game. So yeah, talking about the Fisherman, as they call him. Let's call him the Fisherman now. Urs, the boy. I mean, what an impact, basically, didn't he get? Obviously, he managed his first match actually against Lech Poznan in midweek, where they got a pretty respectable draw in that game. They took a point away from Poznan. And then obviously traveling to Bayern, I think Ultan and I on the predictions, we both tipped a heavy win in favor of the Bayern. I think Ultan even went 5-0 in this one. So yeah, it just proves even the experts don't always know. What a game. What can you say? I mean, obviously early doors, it was all Bayern really, wasn't it? Bayern were dominant. The likes of Michael Elise was really kind of tearing it up there in the attack. He was creating a lot of chances. And it was actually Serge Gnabry who provided the initial goal for Lennart Karl, the latest big hope in Germany, the latest number 10 position. That means you got 3 number 10s now in Germany for the German national team. At least you got one position fixed anyway, Peter. But yeah, yeah, I definitely think, it was a tap-in, but it was still another good performance from the youngster in the Bayern shirt. But then it was the time of Mainz, wasn't it? And it was actually a free kick right on the stroke of half-time, which was really well headed home by Kasper Podolski, the Polish centre-half, with a really nice header, giving Manuel Neuer no chance. And that just seemed to give the Nullfünfers confidence, didn't it, going into the second half, because they created a few chances before scoring a really, really nice equaliser via Jae-Sung Lee with a magnificent header, kind of leaping header, really, wasn't it, from the excellent through ball, giving them a famous 2-1 lead in the top versus bottom clash. It looked as though, the bottom team were going to come out and end Bayern's unbeaten record, but it wasn't to be. And it was that man, Podolski, who actually carelessly dragged back Harry Kane. And Harry Kane, I've got to be honest, even as an Englishman and lover of Harry Kane, he does know how to buy a penalty, doesn't he? Let's be honest. And he does. I mean, there was a shirt pull, but the way he falls down is just perfect that the referee can't say no, basically, and he... it was a penalty, but he comfortably tucked it home, as he always does, basically, Harry Kane, for 2-2. But Mainz still managed to hold out for the final 5 minutes, plus another 5 or 6 added time as well, for what was a very, very respectable point at the Allianz Arena, and a great start for Urs Fischer, Peter.
Yes, there are so many interesting talking points to emerge from this match. I would like to point out that it was you who once christened Urs Fischer the Swiss Tony Pulis.
That is true. Let's stick with that one then. Yeah, but the Fisherman still sounds quite good though as well.
Indeed, and I've been so busy with all of the writing and the traveling and everything associated with the holiday season that I've still not had a chance to get a haircut. So I will point out that my haircut, I still have my Bo Henriksen solidarity hair. Perhaps we'll talk about Patrick Wimmer later. I can do a little ponytail Patrick Wimmer style, that might be possible. But I found this match to be fascinating in that, first and foremost, Urs Fischer brought back his typical park the bus boring Union football with what was undeniably a back six. Consisting of Podolski, Bell, Da Costa, Verachnig, and one of my favorite player names to say, Verachnig. I haven't had a chance to say his name enough on this pod. And Sota Kawasaki, the long-term replacement for Kaishu Sano, filling out that back six. And you also had Leonard Maloney, the former U.S. men's national team international, former Heidenheim player, in midfield rather than playing center half. And the result was that we saw something rather interesting. I mean, it was something rather boring when it comes to Urs Fischer's new Mainz football, but something rather effective. Leonard Maloney did actually break the distance covered record. You remember when Vladimir Darida, had to say, yes, Federlunge. Oh dear, I'm running low on batteries here. So, but we should be okay. Yes, he broke the record for distance covered. I think it was 14.8 kilometers. And the stats here are quite interesting. It's really royally fascinating. 900
alert from low battery.
Yes, thank you. 971 passes played by Bayern, 177 passes played by Mainz, 4.5 x goals Bayern, 0.6 for Mainz. We also have, Jesus Christ. I mean, this was, Bayern were dominant in ball possession here, obviously. It was 85% ball possession for Bayern, 15% for Mainz. So this is your new Urs Fischer brand of Fußball, which is very much based on the Union model of we don't want the ball under any circumstances. We're just going to sit back and see if we can play on a couple of counters and, of course, get goals from set pieces, as you mentioned. Points here, obviously. As you mentioned, Leonard Carl, Jamal Musiala is coming back. So where does Carl go? He goes out on the wings, I suppose. Bayern are still dominant. They're still favored to win the Bundesliga this season. But Mainz supplied us with many interesting talking points about the new Urs Fischer football, which is not interesting at all to watch, but it is interesting to talk about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There were obviously quite a lot of new faces, as you say, in there. The likes of William Burving, another Dane, I believe, as well. We'd not seen much of him at all. I thought he had a really good game, and he deserves a lot of credit. As you mentioned, Kawasaki as well, the latest Japanese player in the Bundesliga, on the very long, production line there. He looks pretty decent. And yeah, in general, it was as you say, it was a back six, literally, that they went with. It was an extremely defensive formation, but it worked. I mean, it worked for Mainz, and they were so close to getting the point, or the win, I should say, and if it wasn't for the inexperienced Palutsky, they would potentially come away with 3 points. But I definitely think it's a great start for Urs, and, I'm always so admiring about how calm he is on the touchline. Maybe Sandro Wagner could have learned a few things from him, because your team is bottom of the league, the 2-1 up at Bayern Munich, and he looks like he's on the beach in Mallorca or something. He's so chilled. He's just like, you know what I mean? Like, he was always like that at Union as well. And I think that's what you want from a head coach / manager, really. You want that confidence from the manager that you're not going to mess that up. For me, some managers just don't get that at all. They don't give those vibes. And, I am talking about Sandro Wagner. I'm not going to forget him anytime soon. But, yeah, Urs Fischer, we're happy to have him back in the Bundesliga. This was a stellar return, really. You could say he got it tactically spot on. It wasn't great to watch, as you say, as it never is with Urs Fischer. But for me, I'm going to make a big tip that he keeps Mainz up in the division, and not even in the playoff. For me, they're going to miss the playoff, and he keeps them in like 12th or 13th position this year. I really believe it. Urs Fischer ball, Fisherman ball is back. Swiss Tony Pulis back in the Bundesliga where he belongs, and it's great to see him back. In my opinion, anyway. I'm not sure if everyone will agree with that. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next game, which was obviously a kind of, I feel a bit strange saying an East German derby, because technically RB Leipzig wasn't even a club last time East Germany was a country. But it is technically, both of these clubs were in the territory of the former Deutsche Demokratische Republik. So yeah, we've got to kind of call it the German, East German derby in a way. I'm pretty sure most fans of Union and probably even RB Leipzig would dispute that. But still, let's call it the East German derby in a way, considering both teams are based on that territory. I mean, this was another game that really kind of lit up the Bundesliga this weekend, wasn't it? I think a lot of people were tipping a Leipzig win. They came into the game on great form, didn't they? But part of you still kind of felt that they were missing Romelu a little bit in recent weeks, despite the fact they have been winning most of the games. But it was once again Konrad Harder, who I know Peter is a massive lover of in general. Konrad Harder once again led the line rather unsuccessfully in this game. Obviously, Bakayoko was back as well, so it looked like a stellar attacking lineup, really, with Diomande and Bakayoko in the team, the two kind of danger men for Leipzig this season. But, I mean, it was Union who came out on top 3-1 in the game, and it was the Scottish sensation, the kind of man with the weirdest career I think I can ever remember from a football player, Oliver Burke, who got the opening goal, the man who goes from Germany to England, like every year, seemingly. But he is based in England at the moment, and he's doing a really good job at Union in general. He scored a really nice opener in the game, a curled strike from just inside the area, beating the Leipzig goalkeeper, Gulazzi, for the 1-0. Literally seconds later, really, it was Gomis who'd just come off the bench, wasn't it? Actually, he brought him off just as Union scored the opening goal. And it was Gomis that just a matter of minutes later really thrashed in a really, really nice equaliser, a great drive, a low drive to the near post of Rennerve to equalise there. Just as you're thinking, it's going to be all Leipzig pushing for the win in this game, it was actually the evergreen Trimmel. I mean, what a player he's been, what a career he's had. He's like, 38, 39 now, and he's still getting minutes. And what a ball that was as well from the right wing into Ilias Ansah, who brilliantly headed home. He had to duck a little bit, but it was a really nice header. Just minutes later as well. All of these goals happened within the space of 6-7 minutes, I guess, for the 2-1. Then it was, both teams had chances at 2-1, but it was in the end Skarke, a man that we all remember from Darmstadt. Do you remember him at Darmstadt as well? Skarke, who I believe scored his first goal in a long time, basically, for Union Berlin in this game, to win the game and technically win the East German derby, if we're going to call it that. I'm pretty sure Peter's going to dispute that one. But yeah, big win for Union, Peter.
Absolutely. Never a dull moment on a Mark and Peter pod, by the way. I have connected a MagSafe charger to my phone, which I'm hotspotting off. That way we can ensure that this pod is not going to go dark like that old English groundhopper who sometimes occasionally his phone gave out during one of his vlogs. In any event, this was a real treat on Friday evening. A few of us were giving the Eisen much of a chance, particularly after that game against Wolfsburg last week. But what we saw here, I mean, Stefan Baumgart, what he's finally done, which many, many trainers who came after Urs Fischer failed to do, is he has liberated the team from Urs Fischer's 3-3-2-2 system, which Nenad Bjelica was more or less wedded to, Bo Svensson was wedded to, and for the first half of his year in the job, Baumgart was wedded to it as well. And he's created a much, much more exciting 3-4-3. And Burke is kind of still a hit or miss player. So is my beloved Germany U21 international Ilias Ansah. But they really came on in this one. As you mentioned, Trimmel, when he came on to serve as the right wing back in place of Haberer, was excellent. I suppose with my long hair, I can do a Trimmel tribute as well. It's not quite long enough to do Andy Carroll yet. You have to give me a few more months on that. But I can do Patrick Wimmer, I can do Bo Henriksen, and I can do Trimmel. And I think that a player, Derek Koelen, of course, the former Bayern Academy man, has also been a very, very pleasant surprise in that left wing-back role. So this was an incredibly surprising result, because after what we saw from Leipzig last week, we thought that they were essentially unbeatable. And it was very, very rare to see the likes of Baumgartner and Bakayoko have something of an off match. Seiwald as well. Gomis, I had forgotten about entirely, which is all right. But as you mentioned, an excellent goal from him. And this was an instance in which Harder was more average. Of course, if you juxtapose the two strikers in this one, our lovely Scot Oliver Burke and our Dane, who I'm telling you, his head is almost a perfect rectangle. He and Jonas Wind must have been birthed by the same mother. They're in Denmark. But at any event, this was a wonderfully surprising result that made the league table quite interesting. Of course, unfortunately, it makes the title race not significantly less interesting. Also with the Dortmund results that we got this weekend, but it was a real breath of fresh air, an unexpected breath of fresh air on a Friday night. And I mean, Union is the other team that I was tipping for automatic relegation, and it's great that we have Urs Fischer back in the league now, so he can begin to help Mainz climb the table and hunt his old side, Union, and maybe drag them back into the relegation race. I mean, your tip that Mainz are not going to factor into the relegation race, I think we've all been tipping that. I mean, it's the change of trainers is probably just what the doctor ordered, as Germans say, a neue Besen kehren gut, new broom sweeps well. And unfortunately, it means that we lost Bo Henriksen, whom I just I've been racking my brains to think about how can we get Bo Henriksen back in the Bundesliga. And I just don't. What other club would he fit with? I mean, where would you put a goofball like Bo Henriksen? We need another goofball club. I don't know. Maybe
Union, maybe possibly, ironically, but or St. Pauli, maybe if it goes wrong for Blessing. But I think the way it went wrong for him at Mainz, the back end, I'm not sure anyone will touch him again, unfortunately, because I mean you can pretty much divide Bo Henriksen's reign into two halves, can't you, really? I mean, the 2024 he was brilliant. Like, he kept them up with that, what was it, 8-9 match unbeaten run when they were in a bad position, and kept them up comfortably in the end. And then obviously the first half, I mean, the first 2/3, you could say, of last season, like, he had them up in fourth, I think, as late as February or even March. But obviously they did have a poor end to last season. They only won 1 out of the last 9. And then they only won 1 out of the first 12 under him this season. So, yeah, it was a seriously bad end. Technically 2 wins in like 22, 23 games, which is clearly not good. So I hope we can see him back, because he is a legend, really, and he's a cult hero. He's probably even more charismatic than Stefan Baumgart, really, isn't he, in a different way? But sadly,
we compare the two. No, come on now. I mean, I don't.
Come on,
yeah. Stefan Baumgart and his gruff voice during the match, and his flat cap while he was playing for Koeln, his Peaky Blinders cap, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that was cool. But that's nothing compared to Bo Henriksen, quite literally doing Rumpelstiltskin dances before the Mainz Kurve every week. And I just don't know what other club he can do Rumpelstiltskin dances for.
Yeah, maybe Kaiserslautern, if they he's the Pfalz after all, technically. Yes. So, yeah, I could actually, the Kaiserslautern. I'm going to put a petition in that he's going to be next Lautern coach when Lieberknecht inevitably gets the boot, basically. So, let's keep an eye on that one. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about another interesting game that happened at the weekend. Obviously, one that probably didn't go the way of most what neutrals wanted in the league. It was obviously Hoffenheim 4, Hamburg 1. But yeah, again, Hoffenheim, we've given them a lot of credit, despite criticizing, the kind of organization of that club at times. Nobody can criticize what they're doing on the pitch this season. And I've got to say, it was great to see the smiles from Christian Ilzer, who's always been a man who never really looked particularly happy to be manning that line, to be honest with you. But in this game, he was just smiles all the way through, basically. I think he's definitely got the Christmas spirit this season, the Austrian. Probably the first time we've seen that in the whole year since he took charge, really, I guess. I guess he took charge, around about a year ago now, or was it early 2025? But must be round about a year. But, I mean, things have probably never gone better than what they are for him right now. And in this game, it was a great ball in from Wolfsburg, who's been a fantastic signing for them, headed in by Grecian Proemel as well, which was excellent. By the way, Peter, I meant to tell you about that. Do you know that Wolfsburg actually played for Stoke in that game we watched against Preston that time? That's where he initially came from. Yeah, he actually played.
I knew he came from Stoke. I mean, I'd written so many articles on him, and he was considered a direct replacement for Stach, who himself went to Leeds. And no, I did not know that he played for in that particular match.
Oh, he did? Yeah.
Mark and I, we don't always vlog our ground hopping. When we went to Preston, it just didn't seem relevant. We, of course, had a blast. We had a good time. Mark introduced me to the fact that there's lots of head injuries in English football.
Well, yeah, that's one way of saying it. Yeah.
Actually, I mean, the thing with everybody knows my views on Hoffenheim. It's not a secret. But I have, as I do every year, I do these the big comprehensive transfer primers for various clubs, and I oftentimes start with clubs that I'm not particularly fond of, just so I can get them out of the way quickly. So I've already started as the turn of the calendar year comes on Hoffenheim. And the problem with Hoffenheim from a German standpoint is that every transfer hit this summer. Every transfer was absolute gold, whether you're talking about Abdullahu, whether you're talking about Kufal, whether you're talking about Hajdari, whether you're talking about Berger, whether you're talking about Lemperle, we can just, it's ridiculous. Everything hit. And not only did every transfer this summer hit, but players who were previously a flop last year, like Khanak, he's suddenly in great form. Toure was always good last year, of course, but Gendry is good. Alexander Pras is good. Arthur Chavez, when he's playing, is good. Mohamed Damar is good when he plays. Everything, they have struck gold and hit the target on every last transfer, and that's why Andreas Schicker was so sought after by Wolfsburg and Salzburg, because the partnership between him and Ilzer, they of course both Austrians who worked for Sturmgas. Schicker came in first, I believe, and then Ilzer came in last November. It's been an amazing partnership. And this team is only going to get stronger. It was a very important milestone day for Andrej Kramaric. It was his 300th Bundesliga appearance. He, of course, is already, since for close to 4 years, the Bundesliga's best Croat marksman. He is Mr. Hoffenheim. Those of us who write on the Bundesliga beat have written 12,000 Kramaric linked to Premier League rumors, but he always ended up remaining with Hoffenheim. This team is incredibly good. They're definitely going to finish top four, and they're only going to get better. Here's the problem. Ozan Kabak is back. Ozan Kabak, once considered to be the next big thing, linked with all of these clubs. He did actually play in Norwich for a while there, in between the Schalke stints. So he is always just an incredibly strong center back, both on dead ball situations and in open play. He's back. Tahumshu may be back. I mean, they're ridiculously strong, and I can't wait to finish up this transfer primer and get it over with, because I just, in a different year they could contend for the title. For the time being, they're just ridiculously good. All over. And not only can they do no wrong with the transfers, but Ilzer can do no wrong with the tactics. He switched tactical systems 3-4 times this season, and everything that he touches pretty much turns to gold. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And having said that, I guess I mean, you can weigh in on Hamburg a little bit more. I could too, but I think it's your turn to speak.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I mean, everything's gone right for the TSG this season. It really has been a stellar season. But obviously, Hamburg came into this game on the back of 2 straight wins. I mean, we gave them bags of credit last week, didn't we, for the performance against Bremen, and also the week before with Rory against Stuttgart as well. I mean, I thought they were really good in that game. In fact, I think we even did that show together, didn't we, possibly? But yeah, they came into this game in form, but they were just completely blown away in this game. And again, I mean, at 1-0 down, it was again that man Königsdörfer who missed a really good chance that could potentially drag them level. And I don't understand why he keeps going with Königsdörfer, because for me, he's kind of this year's flop of the season, basically, for me. I just think and I actually tipped that as well at the start of the season. I'd seen him play in the Zweite Liga, and I always thought he flattered to deceive a lot. And I think Hamburg have been really unlucky that Glatzel got injured, actually. Like, he scored that goal against Stuttgart, and then he got injured. And for me, Glatzel is the far more competent number 9 out of those two. And I think if they could have got him back in regular game time, you know, I would have said that they would have been very comfortable in the league. I didn't think they were terrible in this game. They did have a lot of good shots, actually. I think Miro Muheim as well, he had a decent game too. He had a really good fizzing shot, which was well saved by Baumann. But they never really created big chances. That was the problem. There were a lot of well-aimed shots, and I think Baumann made 3 or 4 good saves from distance. And I think particularly Muheim deserves credit. But Fabio Balde didn't do too much in the game. I think if I was to give criticism to one thing that Erling Poulsen is doing, is he's changing too often the team. You know, the team every week is just like, I can't get my brain around what he's trying to do, because it's like last week Yatta coming back from injury played really well, and now he's on the bench again. Rayan Philippe was on the bench again after a good run in the team. Yusuf Poulsen, I mean, I know he's not got the best fitness, but he was once again started on the bench. I think you've got to give credit to what Poulsen's done in general, because overall, I think he's turned the Volksparkstadion into a bit of a fortress this season, but this wasn't one of his better days for me. I mean, why he's dragged in Balde for that game, I just don't know, really. And I think his over-persistence on Königsdörfer isn't good as well. I think in general the team is quite solid. I think the defensive line is fine. I think Vuskovic has been really good this season. I think Capaldo has done well since he moved into the back line. Torunariga has done pretty well as well. I think that back line is quite solid. The midfield is hard-working, but it's just too much change in the front line for me. I think that's been one of the big problems for them, particularly away from home where they've really struggled to get results. Do you agree, Peter, or do you have a different view on that one?
Well, I mean, there's good stability in that back 3, particularly since he moved Capaldo back there. And, generally speaking, Muheim and Gokolashvili, if I said that correctly, probably didn't, but as the 2 wingbacks, I mean, you have stability there. And Lokonga with his regular starting place in midfield, Vieira or Vieira, as I insist on calling, up front. So you have stability there. The problem is, of course, one of not having a world-class striker, and Glatzel. I mean, he was the hero of that match, and then had to miss not one Nord derby, but also 2, because they played Kiel in the Pokal midweek as well. And, you know, we've raved about Glatzel before, because Glatzel was actually a good top-tier player when he was with Mainz, before he actually moved to Hamburger SV, and he had so many opportunities to go back to the German top division, didn't do it. I don't know, maybe he enjoyed scoring 22 goals in the Zweite Bundesliga. But Königsdörfer, I mean, everybody, he's been a flop for a long time. Might be good, you know, it might be you know, for African football fans, this mad Africa football fan included. African Cup of Nations, don't forget, it's coming up early this year. It's starting next Sunday, as a matter of fact. Watching Königsdörfer play for Ghana in the last AFCON, I was wow. I mean, I just thought to myself, I don't. Oh my goodness! I mean, he is. I almost single-handedly blamed him for the poor performances of the Black Stars under that former Brighton trainer. Houghton was.
Chris Houghton, it was. I think.
Exactly. Yeah, he's awful, and so you need Glatzel leading that line, or you need Poulsen. He's fully fit to start. That's your main problem there. Buskovic is already a cult figure in the club. Capaldo has adjusted well to the back line. Tirana-Riga. Let's not talk about Tirana-Riga. I don't want to talk about it. One of my favorite players, just not hacking it at the present time.
Yeah, but definitely a good game to watch, particularly for the TSG fans there. So yeah, let's go to the best of the rest. So yeah, I guess we've got to mention that what we pinned on Thursday night is a relegation 6-pointer between St. Pauli and Heidenheim, which didn't disappoint either, did it? I mean, it was a good game to watch. Yeah, I mean, Heidenheim for me will be disappointed that they came away empty-handed from this game. Obviously, great to see Martin Kars get a double in this one as well. He, particularly the first goal, was a really, really well-taken strike as well. Smashed it right into the top corner, didn't he? It was a really good finish. And we obviously saw him score a disallowed goal at Frankfurt, didn't we? Which he actually took really well in that game, but obviously was slightly offside. But he is obviously a player coming in from Magdeburg who hasn't really been able to establish himself in the Bundesliga. But a double here would be, a massive boost to him in such a big game for the Hamburg team as well. Because, I mean, if they'd have lost that game, it would have been looking bleak, really, really bleak for them. But obviously the win takes them up to 11 points alongside Heidenheim as well. So really kind of tightens up that relegation dogfight. Obviously, the big kind of news in that one was the Eric Schmeidt, as we call him on this show, even though most English people would call him Smith. Yeah, he got sent off. For me, I thought it was correct, but I was watching the conference for this one, and the German commentary on DAZN seemed to think it was a little bit harsh, this one. They thought he had a cover, but I thought he was in on goal, so I think it was correct. But obviously the second half was just all Heidenheim, really, wasn't it? Heidenheim were laying siege to that Pauli goal. They got one back eventually via Pieringer, with still a good half an hour of the game left, but they weren't quite able to get the equaliser in this game. So, Peter, I mean, was this a case of Heidenheim being a little bit unlucky in this one, or do you think Pauli deserved the win here?
Well, my boy Stefan Schimmer, who I was discussing extensively last week, our hero from, and I might have even, I wrote a feature on him and posted it on social media, but I think it's Gundelfingen, not Gundelfinken. So my apologies, I spelled the Bavarian Swabian border town wrong. He came off the bench, but unfortunately was not able to produce the same magic and become the Bundesliga super sub. In that case, it was, as you mentioned, a very, very good second half from Heidenheim, and I think that Traore, another player whom I think is quite underrated and I like very much, had an excellent second half as well. Schimmer did record the assist on Marvin Pieringer's goal, so he is still a super sub in one respect or not. Other than that, of course, it was a dominant first half from St. Pauli. Kjars getting his first double in the Bundesliga is highly significant. It was Joel Shima Fujita, who many of us made as the transfer of the summer. I've also been working on my St. Pauli transfer scorecard / primer section. So I think he, of course, assisted on both goals. A very, very significant performer alongside James Sands in midfield. They actually found a decent midfield role for Jackson Irvine in this one. Since coming back, he has struggled to find his way into the team, our cult captain, and has also had some issues because one of the St. Pauli board members has been attacking him online for promoting his wife's fashion line on Instagram, I believe. Not a story that anybody reports on nicely, but one of the supervisory board members actually has some very, very ugly things to say about Jackson Irvine, saying, you're not larger than the club. You're going to be gone in a year playing for an euro more. blah, 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 blah. Speaking of players who may also be on the way out, our friend Eric Smythe or Smith or Schmeath or whatever you want to call him, has been suspended. I mean, obviously, he'll be suspended for the final game of the season, and is being linked with a move away from St. Pauli in January. They're looking at bringing in a Japanese center half to replace him on a like-for-like basis. So it may be goodbye for our Swedish Smith. Unfortunately, Mark, that's really sad news. Perhaps he and Bo Henriksen, we'll find them in a dive bar somewhere and buy them.
I'll never forget. I mean, he'll always be remembered for his 2 miracle strikes against Dortmund. Do you remember? Like one of them at the Signal Iduna Park, and the other one the first game of this season. Yeah, I mean, I guess he lacks pace a little bit. That's his problem. That's why he ultimately got sent off in this game. He just got the wrong side of the striker. I think it was Pieringer, and he just kind of dragged him down pretty uselessly, really. So I can understand why Pauli want to upgrade, but my God, he can strike a ball, that lad can. When given the time and room, he can strike a ball for sure. So any teams looking for a ball striker, then bring in Eric Schmidt. Yeah, but just call him Smith wherever you go, please. Yeah, for the good of us, anyway. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about another interesting game that happened this weekend. I mean, it happened another one that went against the fans of tradition clubs this weekend as well, and it was obviously the 3-1 win for Wolfsburg in Gladbach. I mean, pretty much everything happened in the first half of this one, didn't it? The newly informed Patrick Wimmer obviously got the opening goal, as he did last week as well against Union. So good to see him back in form. Maybe his move to Bayern Munich could be on the cards after all, that he was touting, I think, about a year ago. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely started, since he came back from injury, he's hit a good run of form as well. I mean, the equaliser for Gladbach was a little bit controversial because I think it was initially ruled out, wasn't it? I mean, it was a Kuliarakis own goal, quite a clumsy header, but then it looked as though Tabakovic had fouled him. Again, on the conference that I was watching, they were absolutely dumbstruck that it was allowed to stand, this one. But I actually thought it would have been a little bit harsh if it was disallowed, personally. Maybe it's just my English perspective, English hooligans perspective, I don't know. But to me, I thought if they'd have disallowed that, there wasn't enough in it. There wasn't enough contact. I think it was the right decision to give it. And I think the referee didn't mess around for long either. So I think he just gave it and he said, get on with it. And get on with it, Wolfsburg did in very good style as well, because it was that man, Mohamed Amoura, who put the Wolves back ahead with a really nice, that kind of trademark outside of the boot finish into the back of the net. He's another one that's hit form since Simonis departed about a month ago. And then Wimmer yet again with the third. I mean, what can you say? Bayern Munich, take a look at him. He wants that move. Another one of Peter's hairstyle impersonations as well. Yeah, it's a pity I can't do that for sure. But yeah, anyway, Peter, Wolfsburg, the back, I think. Probably much to the disappointment of the average Bundesliga fan, but Wolfsburg are kind of back, aren't they, a little bit?
I mean, we don't, I mean, it's with Wolfsburg and Leverkusen, we don't actively hate them. I mean, they are non-50+1 clubs, which means we would prefer not to pay closer attention to them. Of course, Leverkusen won this weekend as well. I guess we'll have to talk about that Martin Terrier Scorpion King finish. What was interesting for me about Gladbach-Wolfsburg was that you have 2 interim trainers who no one really expected to receive permanent appointments in Eugen Polanski and now potentially Daniel Bauer for Wolfsburg. And I think that Bauer might actually get a permanent appointment. And you can't, I mean, these guys couldn't look more different either. I mean, you have Eugen Polanski with the long hair and everything. Daniel Bauer looks like, Jesus Christ. I mean, he looks like an unsharpened pencil, He
looks like a kind of child on Christmas. like, you can't believe he's in the position, to be honest. He always just looks so happy. You know? Like, it's nice to see a man who just looks like he's really like enjoying life right now.
I mean, the guy looks like he never broke a rule in his life. I mean, he is
definitely the kind of guy that waits on the red light at 2:00 in the morning. Isn't he?
There you go. So Wolfsburg very much in the ascendancy for a variety of reasons. I mean, you have Amoura back on as a center forward. You have Wimmer lighting up there on the left. This was probably Eriksen's best game since joining up with Wolfsburg. Not saying much, but they did get him pretty well there on the right lane. You know, I think probably a hot tip for Wolfsburg is that I've been keeping a close eye on these Niklas Füllkrug transfer rumors. And I do believe that they're going to bring the West Ham man in on loan for the season. He's actually from Lower Saxony. He's from Hanover. So they're going to bring him over, and so he can enhance his German national team prospects. And then you have a reliable target forward, provided he can stay healthy, if Füllkrug can stay healthy. And then Wolfsburg sort of pull themselves out of the relegation race. That would be my prediction for Wolfsburg in the second half of the season, and probably that Daniel Bauer gets the permanent appointment because he has won 2 straight. They're unbeaten in 3, and Wolfsburg's administrative chaos. I mean, they finally brought in Pierman Schwegler from Frankfurt to be the sporting director. Do you remember when you remember his Bundesliga career, the Swiss international there? Yeah. And so they finally got a sporting director, and now they have to install a head coach, period, quickly. So Gladbach and Wolfsburg, it looks like coaches that we thought had no chance at a permanent appointment are going to get one. Might be the case for Manuel Baum too in Augsburg. Wouldn't that be crazy if we had 3 interim trainers get permanent appointments?
It just proves sometimes that like the boring, predictable guy is sometimes the best. You know? Like it's yeah, but definitely a big win for Wolfsburg and big win for them. They're obviously up to 15 points now and not quite safe, but they're definitely looking a lot better with the 7 points from 3 games under Daniel Bauer. The other games weren't quite as much to mention. Obviously, we've got to mention the Nord Rhine-Westfalen derby as well. I mean, a lot of people kind of call this a Cologne derby because the 2 teams are so close. Like Leverkusen really is nearby Cologne. But obviously, it was a 2-0 win for the hosts. I mean, the first half, Luca Waldschmidt, or Waldschmidt, should we say, had a couple of really, really good chances in the game. One of them, he just kind of slipped over just at the decisive moment. And the other one, he hit a well-hit shot, which was nicely saved by Flecken. But, it was a game that was hanging on a knife edge. I mean, Leverkusen had most of the ball, but Koeln were having most of the chances. And in the end, it was that Martin Terrier, incredible improvised finish, wasn't it? That scorpion kick, as you called it. I mean, it looked like a cross was behind him, but he kind of turned it in with his back heel almost. It was almost like an overhead kick and a back heel, basically, that he scored with. And, I mean, it seemed as though Schwebe was kind of confused by it, really, because it kind of like looked as though it didn't go right into the back of the net, did it? It just kind of like went into the side of the net. So it was a hell of a finish. Pretty sure that's going to be up there in the goals of the season come May. And then just a few minutes, Captain Fantastic Robert Andrich obviously just headed home a corner. He'd actually missed a big chance in the first half from a similar position, ironically. He made sure it wasn't going to be a second time. And then Belosian, who... he only came on after 88 minutes. He missed an absolute sitter right at the end, basically an open net missed by him. That would have added a bit of gloss to the scoreline, but still a good win for the Bayern 04, Peter, in this one.
It's important to point out that that's actually not a huge derby, even though you would think that it would be, because the 2 towns are, they're really close. Yeah. And also Leverkusen is the company club. Koeln is the much, much larger town and much larger traditional club. And Leverkusen even stole Florian Wirtz from Koeln. So you think that would be a big derby. But the fans actually, they're pretty friendly. And, because Koeln's big rival is Gladbach. They already have a derby. And I wanted to mention in this one the solidarity between the two ultra groups, because Koeln fans, 500 to 600 of them, declined to enter the stadium after serious strip searches by the local Leverkusen police. And Leverkusen ultras, in solidarity with this, did an atmosphere boycott, and which they rolled up their flags. The Vorsänger announced that the Koeln fans were not attending because of excessive police security checks, and the Leverkusen ultras showed great solidarity. So that's why the match was so quiet for so long between the two of these clubs. And so it's not really a fierce rivalry. As a matter of fact, great show of unified strength by the two ultra groups in this one for the Bullen, who are messing up everybody's footballing experience. And I hope that's that's something dear to my heart, and something that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, definitely something that's nice to see, that sometimes, as you say, I mean, ultras groups can definitely support each other quite a lot. I mean, we saw what we thought was a show of solidarity as well between the Frankfurt and Pauli ultras in a similar kind of situation, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It was the Frankfurt ultras showed there were several St. Pauli traveling supporters who were detained at the Frankfurt train station, and the ultras had a banner for them, and the St. Pauli fans responded, and I can confirm that now. I was wondering in the vlog, was that a show of solidarity? Yes, that I can confirm that. I definitely can.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the last couple of games, probably not too much to talk about there, but obviously Frankfurt got a win over Manuel Baum's Augsburg. I mean, they had 2 goals disallowed as well at Augsburg in the first half. For me, the first one was a little bit harsh, if I'm being honest. I mean, I was watching this, and it was another one. I call them Augsburg decisions, basically, because it seems as though for any other club that would be given as a goal, but when it's Augsburg, it's disallowed. I mean, for me, it was a similar scenario to the one with the Gladbach equaliser. There was a little bit of a touch maybe, but at the end of the day, football's a contact sport. I mean, Zetterer went down like he'd been shot, really, didn't he? He went down. For me, it was very soft, and it took a long time to check that as well. I think it was around about 4 or 5 minutes to check whether that goal was going to stand, and it was chalked off. Shortly after that, Augsburg had the ball in the back of the net again, but this time it was an offside, a pretty narrow offside as well. So it was just one of those days for the FCA, who played really well in the first half, particularly to contain this admittedly off-form Frankfurt side. But it was that man, Ritz Doan, who eventually broke the deadlock, didn't he, after 68 minutes, giving them the win. Disappointed for the FCA, because I really thought they could possibly get a point there against an off-form Frankfurt side who didn't really play anywhere near the highest potential. But yeah, still, I guess Manuel Baum would take a lot of positives from the game. A few decisions went against them in the match, and on another day, it could have been a point for the FCA. Then, talking of other teams who did manage to get a point, obviously SC Freiburg did manage to rescue a point against the BVB. Benzabaini with yet another incredibly scrappy opening goal. I'm pretty sure Dortmund are trying to get the most scrappy goals in a season this year. I mean, they've had so many like really ugly goals this season, haven't they? And this was another one. I mean, he completely mishit the shot, and he kind of double hit it, and it kind of somehow went in, basically, this one for 1-0. But then it was our boy, a man who we've had a lot of English success in the Bundesliga in recent years, but one man who's not really providing us with a lot of success is Job Bellingham, obviously getting the straight red card. His second red card of his career, unfortunately, for Job, who's just not really made any sort of impression in the season, really, with Dortmund. And then eventually they did break them down in the match as well. Lucas Höhler, another cult hero for the club, leveling for the Breisgauer. Peter, anything to kind of mention about either of those 2 games that you want to mention?
Yes, there was an epic post-match press conference from Manuel Baum in which he decried the 2 disallowed offside goals, said that they would have won if they were playing in the Dritte Liga. Interesting statement. Also compared VAR to a visit to the doctor. funny stuff. But in any event, I wanted to point out that Frankfurt have become as boring as the Herzen von Europa. And so when we talk about Frankfurt from this point forward, are they playing Herzen von Europa football, or are they playing Schwarz-Weiß wie Schnee football?
Yeah, that is true.
True. And I think that they're definitely playing von Herzen von Europa football at this point in time.
I like that one.
Yeah. With Freiburg, Lucas Höhler was another guy I could make a hair joke about, but he actually did cut his hair. The Freiburg late goal, I was very, very happy for them. It reminded me of our Christmas visit to Freiburg.
Yeah. 1 year ago this weekend, actually, the penultimate weekend of 2025. It was.
Yeah, it was. And I stuck to my guns and refused to write Joe Bellingham articles when I arrived jet-lagged, because I have written enough of them, and I don't care how many clicks it will generate, and I don't care if Mark Bellingham strode into the dressing room naked and did his Rasputin thing. I'm not writing anymore, but I'm just not doing. And something a little bit non-football related here. I wanted to say that left-footed hello. I like the new Canadian thing that you have there. Last week, Mark and I were actually privileged to be joined by 2 Canadian viewers. We had another guy there from Toronto. And something that you should know about Mark and myself is that in addition to being Bundesliga fanatics, I mean, in football, the German football is our number one priority. However, you may not know that we are also both big ice hockey fanatics. Mm-hmm. That has a lot to do with Mark's better half there, who is Russian, and also the official mascot of the channel, Poppy van Poppyson, who is a huge, huge ice hockey fan. So, Mark and I, we went to go see the Nuremberg Ice Tigers last year in the playoffs. I've not quite had the pleasure of bringing Mark over to the other side of the pond to visit an NHL game, my Philadelphia Flyers yet, but that will happen. So we appreciate our Canadian viewers who check in as well. You are very much appreciated and welcome on the channel.
Definitely. Yeah. We do have our Flyers gear though as well in Nuremberg here. Yeah, the hat and the nice jersey as well. So yeah, Peter is definitely doing his best to spread the NHL word around Germany as well. So yeah, definitely welcome Left Footed and also DM as well. It's great to see you guys checking in with us this evening. So yeah, that pretty much sums up our roundup really for this week. We managed to talk about every team in a little bit more detail as well, which is great this weekend. Don't forget as well to like, comment, subscribe, and all that kind of jazz for the show. We're not only a YouTube channel as well, we're also a podcast as well. Don't forget to check out Spotify and Apple too. And don't forget to follow us on social media too, as you can see, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the Bundesliga Show. You can find us on there. So yeah, only one more weekend to go of Bundesliga action this for 2025. Obviously a lot coming in 2026, but join us for the predictions and fantasy show on Thursday ahead of the last weekend of 2025 Bundesliga. So enjoy it, guys, and we look forward to seeing you there on Thursday. So thanks a lot. Thanks to Peter again, and see you there. Ciao, ciao.